So the science of reading is really been coming to the forefront in education, and it is in response to the literacy crisis. And basically what it's pointing to is, hey, we have the research. We have the knowledge. We have fMRI studies, which is functional MRI studies, which are brain imaging studies that look at the brain in action. We have decades of research that show us how people learn to read. So that's the science of reading. Part of the science of reading is Orton-Gillingham. So the Orton-Gillingham approach is what we will be using at Cornerstone, and I'll explain what that is. So back in the 30s and the 40s, Samuel Orton, who is a neuropsychiatrist and pathologist, and Anna Gillingham, who is a psychologist, came together to develop an approach that would work with dyslexic students. What they came up with was the Orton-Gillingham approach, which is a systematic, multisensory, sequential way of teaching the structure of the English language. So part of that is phonics, which we're all familiar with, but it also extends to morphology. Morphology is having to do with the meaningful parts of language, prefixes, suffixes, Greek and Latin roots, and vocabulary, and more. So when they developed this approach, it really became the gold standard for dyslexia, for people with dyslexia, which back then they called word blindness, but we've learned a lot. Since then, we know that dyslexia is not a visual impairment. It's actually a phonological impairment having to do with the sound system of the language. So what has evolved since the 1930s and 40s, since Gillingham and Orton developed the approach, is that science has really borne out what they came up with. So we now know through the studies I just mentioned, the functional MRI and other kinds of studies, is that all human brains learn to read in the exact same way.